You get the message, and it instantly changes your mood. We'll pay next week. And your brain tries to stay professional, but your body already knows what that sentence really means. It means you're about to chase. It means you're about to send just checking in emails that you hate writing. It means your cash flow is now a question mark, even though the work is already happening. The time has already been spent. The energy has already been invested. And the worst part, you can't even get mad because they sound so casual about it, like your rent is casual, like your time is casual, like your entire business is somehow just a hobby that can wait. So today, you're going to install a deposit system that ends late payments for good. Without becoming aggressive, without sounding desperate, without turning every email into a confrontation, you're going to replace trust me money with process money. And if you're building a calm, premium business where your cash flow and your calendar are protected by systems, hit subscribe. That's what this channel is built for. Let's get into it. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to structure deposits in a way that feels professional, not aggressive. You'll know how to respond when a client tries to delay payment without sounding like you're begging. And you'll walk away with a mental shift that turns getting paid from the most awkward part of a project into the easiest. You and I are in the same group. You're an operator. You're not trying to be a shark. You're not trying to win against your clients. You're trying to run a clean business with predictable cash flow and low drama. You want clear scope, clear timelines, clear payments. That's it. That's the dream. But there's a certain kind of client behavior that slowly turns you into someone you don't want to be. The chaser, following up, reminding, nudging, waiting, refreshing your bank account like a slot machine. And you hate it because it feels like begging for what's already yours. So let's name the real enemy. It's not clients, it's not money. The enemy is frictionless commitment. When clients can start work without paying anything, they treat payment like an afterthought, something that happens eventually, someday, when they get around to it. Your job is to add a small amount of friction at the start, so you don't experience massive friction at the end. That's what deposits do. It's you and me against "we'll pay next week" culture, and we're going to fight it with policy, not emotion. Let me tell you the part most people don't say out loud. There was a time when I didn't ask for deposits, and it wasn't because I had some sophisticated strategic reason. It was because I was scared. Scared the client would say no. Scared they'd think I didn't trust them. Scared I'd lose the deal over something that felt awkward to bring up. So I told myself I was being easy to work with. I told myself clients would appreciate the flexibility, that it was good service. But what was really happening? I was carrying all the risk. I paid the emotional cost of uncertainty. I carried the cash flow stress. I did the work while silently wondering if I was ever going to get paid. And when payment was late, and it was late constantly, I felt powerless because I had no leverage. I'd already delivered. The work was done. The client had everything they needed, and I was reduced to sending polite reminders into the void. If that's where you are right now, you're not weak. You're not bad at business. You're just missing a system. And once you install it, everything shifts because you stop working on hope. You start working on commitment. Here's the reframe that changes how you think about this forever. Late payments aren't a client problem. They're a process problem. Most clients don't wake up in the morning thinking, how can I disrespect this person today? They just behave according to the system you created. And if your system lets work start without payment, they learn quietly, subconsciously, that payment is optional, that it can wait, that your urgency around it is a you problem, not a them problem. So the goal is simple: no money, no motion. Not as a threat, as a standard, as how your business operates. Because deposits do three things most people never realize. They create commitment, they create cash flow stability, and they create leverage without ever needing conflict. And the hidden benefit that nobody talks about? Deposits filter out flaky clients before they ever touch your calendar. The people who are going to ghost, argue, or delay, they disqualify themselves at the deposit stage, which means you spend your working hours on the clients who are actually serious. All right, let's build the system. There are 5 parts. Each one reinforces the others. Part 1. Set a clear default. You need one rule that's easy to remember, something you can apply to every project without thinking. The most common default is 50% upfront to book the project, and the other 50% before final delivery. For smaller projects, you can collect the full amount upfront. For longer engagements, you can break it into milestones, but the principle stays the same. Payment is tied to progress. And when you present it that way, you're not asking for money. You're presenting how the project runs. That framing is everything, because a client doesn't push back on how a project runs. They push back when they feel like they're being asked for a favor. Part 2. Frame deposits around scheduling, not trust. This is where the emotional landmine lives, because at some point, a client is going to ask, directly or through implication, do you not trust us? Don't answer that question. It's the wrong question. You reframe the deposit as capacity management. The deposit isn't about trust. It's about reserving your time. It's about blocking space in your calendar. It's about allocating resources to their project instead of someone else's. Clients understand booking. They understand reserving. They understand calendars. The moment you move the conversation from trust to scheduling, the entire emotional weight lifts. And as a bonus, you now sound in demand, which you should, because you are. Part 3. Make paying you effortless. This is the part most people ignore. Late payments often happen not because the client is dishonest, but because paying you is annoying. Too many steps, too many approvals, too many back and forth emails before the invoice is even visible. Your job is to remove that friction. One link, one invoice, one click. Everything they need to act immediately in one place. Because the truth is, clients rarely refuse to pay, they just delay. And delays compound. Remove the reasons to delay and you remove most of the problem. Now, I want to pause here for a second, because what you're learning is going to change how you run your business, but only if you actually install it. The paid first pack I put together is the shortcut. It's the difference between knowing you should have a system and actually having one. If you're tired of chasing invoices, of feeling powerless after delivery, of wondering whether this client is going to be the one who finally pays on time, grab it. It's free. Link in the description. I'll keep going. Part 4. Tie work to payment automatically. Here's the rule that ends chasing. Work begins after the deposit is received. Not, I'll start anyway and hope. Not, we'll figure out payment as we go. Not, let me get a head start so we don't lose time. Deposit clears, work starts, in that order. And here's the key, you're not withholding work, you're triggering work. Payment is the start button. It's not a punishment, it's not leverage. It's the moment the project officially begins. When you position it this way, clients stop seeing the deposit as an obstacle. They start seeing it as the first step. And first steps are easy. First steps feel like progress. First steps are what they actually want because they want the project to start too. Part 5, put a gate at the beginning and a gate at the end. You already have one gate, the deposit, before work starts. You need a second gate at the other end. Final delivery, final handover, final files, final access. All of that happens after the remaining balance is paid. This is the part people forget, because once the client has the deliverable, your leverage is gone. They have what they wanted. You're now in their debt collection queue, and we already know how that ends. So you calmly state from the very beginning that final handover happens after final payment. Not as a threat, as a standard, because that's how professional businesses operate. That's how accountants operate. That's how lawyers operate. That's how every serious service business operates. And that's how you're going to operate too. Now let's talk about what actually happens when the payment language gets tested. Because a system is only as strong as how you handle the pushback. The classic line is, "We'll pay next week." The old version of you would panic. You'd feel guilty for even bringing it up. You'd cave, start the work anyway, and then spend the next 2 weeks in payment purgatory. The operator version of you doesn't tense up. You stay calm. You agree that next week is fine, and you let them know the start date simply moves to match. The schedule shifts, so it stays fair. You're not fighting. You're not refusing. You're not being difficult. You're just aligning the timeline with the payment. That is calm leverage. No threats, no arguments, just a simple, predictable consequence that the client can fully understand. Another objection you'll hear is, "We don't do deposits." What they're really saying is, "We want you to take all the risk," and your answer is confident and kind. You have a policy. Your policy exists for operational reasons. If that policy doesn't fit their process, you're not a fit. And that's okay. You'd rather find that out now than 3 months into an unpaid project. Or you might hear, "We're a big company," which is usually an attempt to use size as authority. But here's the flip. Big companies have longer payment cycles. That's precisely why deposits exist. You're not making an exception for them. You're applying the policy because of how their accounting works. You're not arguing in any of these moments. You're stating policy, and operators don't debate policy. Here's what's going to surprise you once you install this system. Deposits don't just fix payments. They fix communication. When clients pay up front, they send assets faster. They approve faster. They respect timelines more. They treat the project with real energy. Because payment creates psychological commitment. People protect what they've invested in. That's not cynicism. That's just how humans work. So your deposit system doesn't only protect your money, it protects your time, your energy, your project outcomes, your ability to actually deliver great work instead of constantly fighting for attention from a client who's half checked out because they haven't actually committed to anything yet. One system, multiple wins. The best time to introduce deposits is before you need them. You don't introduce it like you're asking permission. You introduce it like a menu item. It's just how things work here. Deposits, book projects, full stop, next step. When it's written into your proposal, your onboarding, your website, it stops being a conversation. It stops being something you negotiate. It's just the structure. And structure is what clients actually crave, even when they don't realize it. The paid first pack I mentioned earlier, and that's the whole system, ready to install. Imagine what it feels like to send a proposal and know with absolute certainty that serious clients will pay on time. Imagine finishing a project and not having that low-grade anxiety about when the money will actually land. Imagine your bank account matching your calendar. Work done, money in, next project starts clean. That's what the pack gives you, not templates to copy, a spine to build on. Something you set up once and use on every project for the rest of your career. It's completely free. Link is in the description. Go grab it now. Your future cash flow will thank you. Let me say the quiet part out loud. Chasing payments hurts more than losing a client, because chasing payments makes you feel small. It makes you question your value. It makes you resent the work you used to love. It makes you anxious every time you send a polite follow-up that should have never been necessary. You don't deserve that. You deserve a business where you know when money is coming in, where you know when work starts, where you don't have to beg for what you already earned. So the next time someone tells you they'll pay next week, you don't tense up. You don't spiral. You don't absorb their cash flow problem into your life. You stay calm, you apply the system, and you move on with your day. That's how you protect your time. That's how you protect your peace. And that's how you end late payments without ever becoming someone you don't want to be. If this changed the way you think about getting paid, subscribe. Every video on this channel gives you one more system to replace one more headache. I'll see you in the next one.